Let's have a discussion about Michael's comments about his last super match against Hermes Gasparini, his prediction of the upcoming Hermes vs LEVAN match, and then his own chances against LEVAN if he gets that super match opportunity. So first of all, Michael said that he realized a few mistakes which he made in the Hermes match, and if given the opportunity to have another rematch, he can definitely take Hermes Gasparini down, because now he knows the small changes that he needs to make in his game to make that match even more difficult for Hermes Gasparini. One of the things which he mentioned was, since he won the toss, he probably should have taken the buckle side because the strap was too loose and Hermes Gasparini was able to apply his riser. He was able to get on top of Michael's hand and literally get into his fingers before going for the press. If Michael had the buckle on his hand in the first round, then he would get to decide the tightness of the strap, and that would prevent, I shouldn't say prevent, but that would make it more difficult for Hermes to climb over the top of Michael's hand. And then since he gets more chances to have the buckle on his hand with a tighter strap, maybe Hermes would have gotten tired earlier instead of the third round when the match was basically over. If I remember correctly, isn't it the same thing which I also mentioned in one of my videos before the match? I said exactly this. My suggestion to Hermes was that he should probably be thinking about getting the buckle on his hand in the first round, because then he can ask the referee to keep it really loose so that he can easily apply his rising pressure and he can pronate through Michael's hand by climbing on top of his fingers. And still sometimes, not always, but sometimes Hermes gets mad at me for advising pro arm wrestlers, elite arm wrestlers on what they should be doing in a super match. And that's one of the most basic advices for anyone out there. If you believe that you have a stronger riser than your opponent, then a loose strap is almost always the better choice. In 90% of the cases, I would say. In the last video, we discussed how Michael can still get an opportunity to face LEVAN by the end of this year. This is what Michael said about LEVAN. I have a plan for LEVAN. I really do. And I think I'm gonna achieve that. So basically, it's not a special, a different kind of plan for LEVAN. Michael obviously will be doing what he has already been doing for many years, but he just plans on getting stronger in the right places, which will matter against LEVAN Saginashvili. Michael believes that LEVAN has the best hand and wrist that the sport has ever seen, but still the only way to go through LEVAN is to go through his hand and wrist. I agree and also disagree with this statement. I agree with it when Michael says this for himself. Obviously, his only chance against LEVAN is to crack his wrist with a king's move, but that isn't applicable to everyone, and sometimes Michael likes to say that that is the path for everyone, because since the last time when LEVAN got top rolled by Sabin Bedulescu, it was what, 7-8 years ago from now, the only thing we have seen work against LEVAN is a flop press. Hermes Gasparini's flop was working pretty good towards the end of that match. Gennady flop pressed him back in 2017, I guess. Yes, Devon did achieve some kind of success in the first round in their second super match, but still, if you would ask anyone, the flop seems to be the best way. I know Jerry couldn't get into his flop, but if you can somehow get into that flop and drag the match for a little bit longer than a few seconds, then maybe you do have a chance. But Michael also said that when Hermes was flop pressing LEVAN, he had a ton of pronation in that flop press. So maybe that was also targeting LEVAN's hand and wrist. So maybe Michael is right. But speaking of chances against LEVAN, this is what Michael said about Hermes. I truly think Hermes probably has a 25% chance of winning, which is the greatest percentage I have ever given anyone. Michael thinks that Hermes can definitely win that match, but the chances are just not that high. He believes Hermes can do something because since the last LEVAN match, he has increased his riser lift by 20 kilos, and that is a massive number for anyone. And it's quite interesting to see that despite LEVAN getting more and more dominant every passing month, more and more people are thinking of different ways to defeat LEVAN, and people are believing that almost everyone in the top 5 deserves a shot against him, even Vitaly Laletin. That's it for this video. Please hit the thumbs up and I'll see you again.